This video is to go over a check-in about the HI before you dive into that academic research to ensure three things. One, that you have an understanding of the historical investigation and are on the right track. Two, that you have the effective strategies in place to be successful. And three, to ensure that you are putting the effort in that is necessary. A lot of this is because the way that IB intends for their internal assessments to be is that they are student-driven, student-conducted. And what that means is that part of the learning process is you going through the process without being told exactly every little thing to do. That you, through the struggle of research, are discovering how to effectively research. Now, of course, I'm definitely here to support you and advise you, but the way that IB intends for this is for really me to give general directions and then give feedback on your first draft, which will be due at the end of the year. And so this is meant to be conducted on your own, independent, with a lot of discovery and learning happening on your own. So part of this is using the resources that are presented for you. So the directions in the HI packet, I copied and pasted directly from IB what they say they want, and I've also added some more. I've included the mark band in your interactive notebook also. So please make sure that you are using the directions in the HI packet. Some of you, when I was grading HI number 2, I noticed that you actually annotated the directions. That's a really, really awesome step to make sure you fully understand what's going on. And then when you're highlighting and annotating, a couple months from now, you're working on an assignment, you can be like, wait, I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. You go back, you've already highlighted and annotated it. And so you just saved your time because you have already shown yourself what you have determined as essential. Also use the videos on the Google site, which if you're currently watching this, that means you are doing that for the extra clarification. Please come to tutoring, ask me for help. Part of this process is you struggling, finding those obstacles like a historian does, and then discovering the methodology to get around that. And one of the ways that you can work through this is you bring that struggle to somebody who is here to advise you, and I help you discover that along the way. Also, you can conduct your own research of the HI. I'm not talking about just the content that you're researching for your topic, but the actual historical investigation. The IB doesn't really give that much direction on the HI. They give an overview with exactly what they're expecting, but the in-depth clarification of all things is developed individually by each teacher. So Ms. Christian and I have worked really arduously to develop this packet to help clarify a lot of things. But here's the thing, we're not the only IB history teachers. There are IB history teachers at every IB school who have also developed things. And so you can reach out to friends you know at IB schools, people at IB schools through discussion forums. You can also probably find a lot of the times teachers' websites that have this information. Taking that extra step is a really good thing to do, not just for the HI, but for pretty much anything that you do in academic or career related things. Also, a super important resource is going to be the directions. Please read the directions for each assignment. I have intentionally chosen words. I'll make certain words bigger, underline words to help make sure you are guided in the correct direction. So pay attention to all steps, and also do not forget your reflection journal, which at the end of every assignment, I actually put a little box to check off, and that says, don't forget your reflection journal, as this is what's going to build to section 3 of your HI. So please make sure that you use your resources and that you are also paying attention and heeding all directions. Now, just as a review, what's your goal of the historical investigation? You are going to develop and pose a historical question. We will really develop that question in assignment number 4. But before we do that, assignment 3 is to find an expert so we can kind of piggyback off of what they're already doing. So you take that historical question and then you analyze. You have to have multiple perspectives. There have to be different viewpoints on what is the most significant, or what was the cause, or different interpretations of the impacts or consequences, or who played the greatest role, what played the greatest role. Then you have to research those perspectives and be able to articulate and paraphrase and explain those back. You have to analyze them, really break them down, and then reach a conclusion. What is the, based on research, best answer to your question? utilizing the analysis of those perspectives. Because the historian's job is to sort through all those facts, the core of that big H that we draw for historiography, and then we have to use judgment to determine which is the most, quote, relevant. And I put that in quotation marks because ultimately it comes down to there are biases that all of us have. There are going to be different interpretations, different focuses that each of us has in our investigation. And so we have to sort through that, look at the judgments other historians have made, and then make judgments of our own based on those facts and those judgments. Overall, please remember, research is an extremely, extremely messy process. It is going to be complex. You are going to find sources that you think are helpful, and then they're not. You're going to find sources that you're like, this isn't going to be helpful, and then you wish you had them 2 months later. It's a messy process. You will look at way more sources than what you end up using. You will have more information than what you need. That's a part of the research process. And this is why I want you guys to keep an RRR, which is a running resource research list. Just keep a running Google Doc every time you find a source. Put down the major information about the citations, author, title, the hyperlink to get to it, and then also just like a few bullet points. Why did this matter? Is this telling me which scopy? What is this ultimately telling me that's going to be helpful to me in my HI? And then a couple months from now, you can look back over and be like, oh wait, why was that source important? Or I need to find more stuff about economics, and I have 2 sources based on my RRR that show I have economic information. I'm going to revisit those. Also, research takes time. You actually have to read the sources and break them down. But in a little bit, I'll go over in this Google Slides how to efficiently and effectively read for the purposes of research. Also, right now, most of you are currently on the surface and need to dig much, much deeper. You are giving me the well-known narrative of these events, but we need to dig deeper. The research is going to tell us more. You can't just tell me what like anybody on the street could tell me about World War II. So think about how deep we go into content in class. That's what you need to do in order to be successful in the HI. You need to think about the examples that I'm giving you in class, the types of statistics, and you need to work to find those things as well. So your effort. According to IB rules, like I was saying, you may receive written feedback 1 time on the initial draft of your HI. So I can only comment on your historical investigation, the big thing, 1 time, which will happen at the end of the year. So what that means is that that draft should be the best that it could possibly be for you at that time. It needs to be as complete as possible, as thorough as possible, because if you turn in a really a draft that has clear lack of effort, you're not going to get the most genuine, helpful feedback. You're going to get feedback that isn't going to really be able to help you, but I can only give you feedback on what you turn in. So you need to make sure that that draft is as complete as possible. In order to ensure that that draft is successful, your research must be thorough. That's what matters here, is you have to research effectively. And it's going to take time. This is the longest, messiest part of this whole process. Take the time to do good research and you will get a good draft. You will then get good feedback, and then you will be able to improve and have a successful HI, which is, remember, worth 20% of your overall IB score.